Now we still have to discuss initiation and the return phase of the hero's journey, and this requires a lot more stages to discuss and more action-adventure video games to analyze. Next week, we'll discuss initiation and the games best represented. Next week.
My bad.
Yo, my bad, guys. I know it's been a while since that last part of Hero's Journey, but I'm back now. After a month of a lot of hectic things that happened in the social activist world and the personal lives of me and Josue, it was kind of hard to edit this video and get the Hero's Journey rolling, but we're back, and I promise you guys now we're going to finish this thing up. So let's continue where we left off with initiation, the second part of the Hero's Journey. And if this is the first time you're watching this, welcome to the Panic Brothers channel. I am Simon, one of the two hosts of this channel. And Hero's Journey Part 1, which is the beginning of this series, is up on our YouTube. It came out a month ago, and you should probably start there before you click on this video. That being said, let's get into it.
But you're in Panama, right? Why?
It's a funny story, but last year he was my cellmate.
You too. You bet, Sanada.
Get on! I'm on your side! Hurry!
Hey, we're smuggling her?
There's a crew of Fireflies that'll meet you at the Capitol building.
That's not exactly close.
You're capable.
In the words of Joseph Campbell, the initiation section begins with the hero then traversing the threshold known as the unknown, or special world, where he faces tasks or trials either alone or with the assistance of helpers. It's kind of funny because normally you would think that the very beginning of the hero's journey would be classified as the beginning of the adventure. But in reality, the initiation phase is actually the real beginning of the adventure. It's where the hero really gets their feet dirty and gets into this new realm that they've never had any experience with prior. The first phase of the initiation section is known as the Road of Trials, and for this one, we'll be talking about Shadow of the Colossus. The Road of Trials phase is defined as a series of tests or ordeals the hero must undergo to begin a transformation. In this stage, too, the hero might learn who can and cannot be trusted, and they may earn allies and enemies who will help prepare them for the greater ordeal. Shadow of the Colossus is a fantastic game that me and Josue already have talked about in our panic room from around May, I want to say. It's a great game, and honestly, it's something that has revolutionized a lot of adventure games, especially games like Breath of the Wild, where Nintendo learned that you can use the environment around you to your advantage. You don't need to force players into a secluded area, you can make the whole atmosphere alive in every single nook and cranny. But Shadow of the Colossus is even more genius, in my opinion, because it shows not just what you can do with an environment, but it shows that every transformation a hero undergoes doesn't always have to be a positive one. And that is the example we see with Wander, the main character of Shadow of the Colossus. In Shadow of the Colossus, Wander is given a trial, or more fitting, trials. And those trials fit perfectly with the hero's journey. Essentially, Wander has a friend, maybe even a lover. Honestly, I don't think they really get into it, but he has a friend who is unconscious and doesn't have a soul, and to regain that soul, he pleads to a god for help. The god informs Wander that in order to revive his friend, he must destroy all 16 idols, who are reincarnated as Colossi, accompanied by a heavy price if performed. That heavy price is the transformation we see Wander go under. A Road of Trials can be done in many different ways. It can be Hercules trials to prove that he's a hero. It can be the dungeons and temples Link undergoes in every single Zelda game. It can be the different worlds that Mario goes through in the paintings of Super Mario 64.
When it comes to one-year-old Dante, Pierre, you are the father.
But they're all basic in that it's just trials that the hero must undergo to save the princess or the world. With Shadow of the Colossus, the trial's end goal is more personal, and once again, they don't have a good ending. Towards the end, you realize Wander is helping a demon, a devil, something that isn't really innately good, defeat these 16 innocent idols. But he doesn't care. He does it all to revive his friend. And in turn, he sacrifices his own sanity and purity and becomes a dark incarnation of evil. It proves that his goal at the end of the day, though benevolent, is selfish. And because of that, the road trials here is excellently done because it kind of turns our hero into a villain. It's a beautiful way of doing road trials, and I think a lot of games can learn from this instead of just using the typical hero has to go through A, B, C, D in order to save Princess E in order to save the Kingdom of F. The next phase is called Atonement with the Father, and for this one I chose God of War 3. This phase is the entire point of the journey. The hero faces the strongest driving force of the journey thus far. Now don't let the word father mislead you. This is a confrontation of a powerful entity. Joseph Campbell, when he wrote this, honestly wrote it in a very sexist mindset, believing in gender roles where the hero was male and females were the system, and everything that had to deal with this stage had to deal with his father figure. We're not about that here, so fuck that. This is not so much a fight with the father, it has to be a fight with a powerful being. That being said, this is represented by literally any boss fight in a video game. I am not going to go over into detail about what a boss fight looks like in video games. I think everyone watching this knows exactly what I'm referring to when I mean a boss fight. I'm just going to talk about how Kratos beat the living breaks off of fucking Zeus. Literally, Kratos at this point in the game was stripped of everything he's collected so far, and he still looked at his bare hands and he said, "Bet, let me clap those godlike cheeks freestyle." Man was Picasso with Zeus's blood. He painted a whole screen red while you're beating the brakes off this dude. I don't think there's any other boss fight I can think of at this moment that felt as satisfying with every single hit. Cause this is a 3-game build-up of fighting a guy that Kratos clearly hated with every bone in his body. So every punch delivered just felt like finally achieving that end goal of beating that powerful wall you thought the main character could never get over. Once again, it's a pretty simple stage. I'm not going to waste too much time detailing this. Look up what a boss fight is if you don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure everyone here knows exactly what I'm referring to.
Hello, Ed boy!
The next phase of the hero's journey is APOSTASIS, which if there's any phase you can skip, it's probably this one, because this one's kind of hard to pull off through a video game lens. In this stage, there's an abandonment of the physical world and the hero's ascension to something more. This phase is treated as a new state of divine knowledge, love, compassion, and bliss. This stage also serves as the final stop to allow the hero to reach their ultimate goal. Typically, this is seen through death and revival after the confrontation with that entity we just discussed in the last phase. Like I said, this is kind of hard to find. The only games I can really find that did this were from software games like Dark Souls and Sekiro. And those games don't really even do it after a boss. They typically start off the game like that. Both games start in the same way, where the main character has just faced a death, or they are just entering a new realm after death. Through this new divine way of being, they have these extraordinary powers and abilities. Like I said, it's not that important. A lot of games don't do this, and they're still fantastic. I can name more than 100 games that don't do this, and still have amazing stories. So for now, I'm just going to skip right by this, because it's really not that important to talk about.
At any cost. You understand me, don't you, Wolf?
The next phase in the hero's journey is called the Ultimate Boon, represented by Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. The Ultimate Boon is the achievement of the goal of the quest. This is literally the thing that the person has been chasing after the whole journey, and they finally achieve it. It can be treasure, a sword, a long-lost friend, you name the usual suspects. The object of this stage is to help the character complete their sense of entitlement and entraps them in their own world of success/failure and divinity. Assassin's Creed for several games touches on the Apple of Eden as the ultimate boon, and the importance of finding it to stop the Templars. It isn't until Brotherhood where we finally find the hidden biblical treasure. Desmond finds it, but it causes him to lose self-control and murder Lucy by the orders of Juno, the primary deity of a religious group we are not going to touch in this video. The reason why I chose Brotherhood here is because the boon here proves to be more powerful than we initially thought, and has a reverse effect on the satisfaction of the hero's needs. It's an unorthodox and interesting twist on finding the endgame, and shows that the hero remains oblivious to his weakness and misguided goal. I remember when I first played Brotherhood, I thought once we got the apple, that was it. The game was over. The Templars lost. There's nothing else to do. When I was shown what the apple could really do, and that Desmond had no other choice but to stab her, it shocked me. The game completely threw me for a loop, and I was dying to play the next installment, which was Revelation. This is so much better than Link finding the Triforce, or heck, even stuff in anime like Luffy just finding the One Piece, or Naruto becoming Hokage. This instead says, go fuck yourself, and reminds you that life and the world is very unpredictable. It was a job well done. I wish I can say the same thing about the other Assassin's Creed games, but I really can't.
No!
And for the final phase of initiation, we're going to talk about Refusal of the Return, represented by Red Dead Redemption 1. In this final stage of initiation, the hero may refuse to return to his or her ordinary world to share the found boon with their fellow man. This stage isn't really needed, but it further enhances the power of the boon, and the new stage the hero finds themselves in post the atonement of the Father. Joseph Campbell goes on to further write, the norm of the mononyth requires that the hero shall now begin the labor of bringing the runes of wisdom, the golden fleece, aka the ultimate boon, or his sleeping princess back into the kingdom of humanity. Essentially, the journey's not done.
What do we do now? What do you mean? Now we can finally play the game. Oh yeah.
Just because the ultimate boon has been found, there still requires a lot more effort in returning into the world the hero was first placed in before the journey even began. And this can be because the ultimate boon either messed them up mentally into a world they don't recognize anymore, or maybe they lost the ultimate boon and they were just a complete failure and now have to overcome those emotions. Red Dead Redemption is the best example of this in my opinion, because for Jack Marston, the son of John Marston, that labor that Joseph Campbell references was the work that went into killing John Marston's killers. Jack refuses to cross the threshold into a world without pain and anger, which ended up prolonging a quest that was already fueled by those feelings. This is a great way to use refusal, because with Red Dead Redemption, it's not obvious. When you first play through the game and John Marston's killed by like 20 different bandits, you assume that's over and the game ends there, but when you progress further as Jack and have to hunt down the people who killed the original playthrough's character, that's insane to me and just opens your eye to the refusal of that return. Jack chooses to purposely abandon the life his father's sacrifices provided him. He chooses revenge instead and refuses to acknowledge the boon that he gained through the peace that his dad offered him through his actions and noble sacrifice in the first half of Red Dead Redemption. It's a very heroic way for John to go out, and a very interesting way to introduce Jack. I would honestly love if more games kind of did this, where you think the game ends on that first half, but that second half grips you even further by progressing the first story through a perspective you never thought you would see. Rockstar proves again they're able to tell a really good story and make sure that the user's really engaged in it from beginning all the way to a brand new character's end. We did it. We got through all the phases of initiation done and complete. Now, I know last time I said next week, so this time I'm not going to make any promises, but there will be a finale sometime soon, I hope. And in that finale, we'll finally go over the final segment of the hero's journey, which is the return. Once the adventure is complete, the hero must return back where they came and face any last obstacles and any new lessons or old they must accept on their way back home. If you guys enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, comment. If you didn't like it, dislike it. Tell me why you didn't like it. Please, I'd love to hear you guys' feedback, and I love making videos like this, and I would love to see what you guys think about it. Until next time, this has been Simon from the Panic Brothers, wishing you guys a healthy and progressive summer. Take care, guys.